Welcome, welcome to the Sigma Show. I'm sorry, I was just making sure that I had levels
Yes.
because I swapped over and forgot to check. But it looks like you guys can hear me. So welcome to episode 73 of the Sigma Show. I'm your host, Sigma. Before I let you know who's joining me today, real quick, we'll go over what our topics will be, and we do have a couple. So maybe this will be a longer show, but I'll try to contain the excitement for all the news that we have.
You invited me.
First up,
That's not
Bayonetta
happening.
3. Bayonetta 3 has finally been re-revealed. It's been announced with a brand new trailer and a release date. We'll talk about our feelings on that trailer and the new game and I guess lore and stuff because Ash won't not talk about that.
Yeah.
After that, Nintendo has made an acquisition of a Japanese animation studio with the purposes of, giving more of their IP TV and movie treatment. So we'll talk about like maybe what their plans might look like. Still in the realm of TV, Netflix is banging that drum to get anime into the real world. And so Yu Yu Hakusho is the latest, well, let's say victim to be up on on the chopping block of Netflix's plans. We'll talk about like what a Yu Yu Hakusho live action adaptation could look like. Like maybe are people excited, unexcited? And finally, we are in the end times. BMW has released a couple of cars that now have video game like microtransactions. So we'll talk about like maybe what that looks like, how we feel about that, and if there are any positives from this sort of thing in general. And here to discuss these topics with me are Ash Redux.
What's up, everybody? Back again, back again.
Welcome back, Rachel Kaiser.
I heard Bayonetta and I was like, yes?
Does that Kim Kardashian meme where she peeks out the bushes?
Yes.
As well as Yokina Cat.
Hey, y'all.
Very, very sheepish hi, but we're very happy to have you. So we'll jump right into things. We can do what we've been playing / watching, but we'll keep it kind of on the short side, I guess, because we do have 4 whole topics this week. So anyone feel like jumping in with stuff they've been checking out recently?
Real quick, Lampy said that you're quieter than everybody
Yeah,
else.
I saw that. I just moved the mic closer to myself, so hopefully that'll fix that. Because I'm actually kind of maxed out on my end. I don't know, the mic was kind of far from me, so hopefully this sounds better.
I can go real quick if
go right ahead.
mine's actually quick this time, Casey, I promise. I've been playing a whole lot of nothing, but I remembered that Room Factory 5 came out on PC a couple of days ago, so I just bought that. So I will be playing Room Factory 5. I've also been watching a whole lot of nothing. I've been sad and bored for the past like 2 weeks or whatever.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, sad
Why?
and bored. Too busy with work. I forgot to remind you again. I'm still on call for this month, so during my free time I've gotten a few on call calls, surprisingly. So yeah, that's why. My free time were on call moments that I had.
Fair enough. For those who are uninitiated, let's say me, for example, what is Rune Factory and why are there 5 of them?
Oh, Casey. I said I was gonna be quick and you ruined it.
I mean, you don't have to take a super long time. Like, you can just...
10 words or less, Ash. 10 words or less.
Okay. Room Factory. There was originally Harvest Moon. The people who were the devs for Harvest Moon
it's like
left.
a farming simulator type thing.
Right.
Well, not simulator.
Except,
What do they call those games?
I mean, well,
Farming
Room Factory's a.
No, because there's an actual farming simulator.
Yeah.
I feel like those don't
Yeah, there's not right.
go as deep, right? So like,
Yeah.
I feel wrong calling them simulators.
I don't know what they would call it before. Honestly, I never thought about it till you brought it up. But long story short, Harvest Moon devs left. They couldn't keep the name of the IP. They made Story of Seasons. Natsume and Marvelous kept making Harvest Moon games, but those kept sucking after the original devs left. But it's like they made their own spin-off series called Room Factory. So take all the normal farming stuff, but add in going to dungeons, weapons, RPG statistics, taming monsters who can actually help you with farming depending on what they are, or just help you in dungeons and fight bosses, having a whole overarching story and different acts and everything. So it's like JRPG mashed into Harvest Moon to make Room Factory games.
All right, nice. So it's like the ultimate version of well,
Yes.
I don't know if this ultimate, but like it's It's all that stuff, but also an actual game included.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm throwing shade at.
It's okay. I understand.
The farming folk. But nice. Thanks for sharing, Ash. Anybody else have stuff they want to bring to the class?
I'm playing Stray, but I can't tell you about it because I have an embargo.
Right. Yeah, I think that's still not out yet, right?
No, not till early next week.
Okay.
But
I love how you and Rachel, y'all are playing games, but it's not like, it's obviously for interest and leisure, but at the same time it's for work. So it's like, oh yeah, I can't talk about it. And I was like, I'm playing Cooking Mama on my 3DS, and I'm sorry, Sigma, were you gonna go? I was gonna just jump in if that's okay, or
Oh no,
or Rachel, were you finished? Or finished? I'm sorry.
oh no, so if I can't talk about Stray, funnily enough, I actually did start a new farm in Stardew Valley because I hadn't played it since the new update added a whole bunch of stuff. So I wanted to check it out. So of course that ends up taking way more of my time than I think it will. So it's like 5 hours later, I'm still playing Stardew Valley. But no, other than that,
one day I'll try Stardew Valley because that's the one of those kind of games that seems to just get massive acclaim, and I've never been interested in that sort of game, so I want to see if that can sort of teach me what it is that people love about it.
Stardew Valley's a good time.
I can't say that honestly. I can't say of Stardew Valley, like, if you don't like that particular kind of gameplay loop, I'm not sure it's gonna make you a believer, but. So I don't want you going into it with the expectation that it's gonna rock your world necessarily. But
Okay.
I like it, and I think it's sweet and fun. So
Listen, Casey, I own both on Steam. I'll share my Steam library where you can play Room Factory 5 and Stardew Valley. Figure out what you like or don't like. Live your best life. I got you.
Now Rune Factory might make you a believer.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah. To be honest, of the two, Rune Factory does sound more interesting because there's the more gameplay focused thing on top of or aside the management stuff, because it's really the management stuff that I'm like, this isn't fun. This is homework.
It's fair.
Okay, does that do it for you, Rachel?
Yeah. That's all I'll say. Keep it short.
Okay. So how about you, Kat? You were ready to
A lot
jump
of
right in.
agriculture gaming going on. I see.
I know.
You know?
Right. I'm kind of in the same boat as Ash. Like I've been playing, but not really. So I've just, my basic like Apex Legends, which I'm not a really big fan of season 13. I don't know what it is. I know they did revert back to the old ranking system in ranked leagues because it was a complete disaster. Like when when season 13 first launched, basically it was just impossible to get out of like, your bronze and silver leagues. So I guess when they did the new split ranked, they kind of went back to the old ranking system, and it's a little better now. But I'm not a really big fan of the new Apex 13. But the really cool thing is there's an event going on the 19th. They have it's called the Gaiden, Apex Legends Gaiden event. So there's going to be a lot of manga and anime like themed stuff going on in Apex Legends. Like I know, like for one of the characters or Legends Watson, she has a skin that's Kakashi's outfit from Naruto, and then.
Is it like licensed or is it just an homage?
No, it's licensed. No, it's licensed.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
Dang,
it's pretty
cool. They went full on.
And then what else is there? Luffy from One Piece, Octane, he has like a Luffy outfit. So it's really, really cool. It's like an actual
I don't feel like that's
collab.
licensed. I feel like Octane just has a Luffy costume.
Well, because I was like, that's like the perfect character for that, but it's an actual Apex Legends event. Because at first I was like, it's probably like, is it people just modding stuff like on PC? But no, it's like an actual Apex Legends event. So,
okay. I mean, I really like Apex. It's probably my favorite of all the battle royales that have released. I don't play it like anywhere near enough, but I'd go back and check it out for that kind of anime nonsense.
And like for me, I haven't really been into first person shooters since I'm talking like Halo Reach, COD, Modern Warfare, like way back then. So Apex is really the reason why I got back into first person shooters, and I really like it. So other than that, I'm not really playing anything. Watching, I'm actually rewatching and reading the book, The Godfather. It's one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
So I'm rewatching I wasn't really a big fan of the third one, but I'm rewatching them, and then I also bought the book so I could read because a lot of people don't realize that it's based off a book. It's an adaptation of a
Yeah, I
book.
didn't know that
Yeah,
until pretty recently either.
that's an adaptation of a book. So I'm going back and rereading the book. So other than that, it's just been a pretty slow couple weeks for Kat.
Okay. Yeah, I've not been playing a ton of games either because I've been going through like my training or whatever for the new job. But funnily enough, part of the job was, hey, go play some games out of our catalog that you haven't played before. And I have played a bunch of Ubisoft games. So I did check out Immortal Phoenix Rising for a short while.
Nice.
The writing in that game kind of strikes you early on as being like really like fun. Like there's like a banter between two characters, Prometheus and Zeus, because Prometheus is telling a story and Zeus is basically heckling him the whole time. So you hear that back and forth the whole time you're playing through the game, and that's actually very accompanying to that big open world and makes it feel like you're not as alone or you're not kind of grinding through like puzzles out in the open world and stuff. But that being said, like the open world so far isn't very grindy. Like it doesn't feel empty. It doesn't feel annoying to get around. Like it very quickly is fun. And they very quickly give you like a bunch of traversal abilities, like the ability to like double jump, the ability to like dash around. Like you get a couple of weapons that let you do things like hit switches with remote controlled arrows or whatever. So like very quick you get a bunch of stuff, and then you just have this big map with a bunch of stuff in it to like use that stuff on. And like very early on I was like, all right, oh, this is actually pretty cool. Like if I didn't have like a million other things to do, I'd probably finish this game. But I don't really see myself doing that right now. But it was a good time, the short while I played with it. I'm also playing something that I think is really fun so far, but I only played for like maybe an hour, and I cannot talk about that because that's a preview thing for later in the month.
You're killing me, Sigma. You're killing me.
Right.
Hey, Kat, we don't have to do this here because I think we're gonna bore the crap out of Casey and Ash, but we need to talk about the Godfather
Yes.
later.
Yes, I will jump in Discord for you. I'm down.
Like I've literally only watched every one of the Godfather movies once, but it was all at once. It was a marathon, and I watched 1, 2, and 3 straight through. And so all of that story kind of like meshes together in my brain. And I feel like that was the wrong way to do it. So I will probably need to rewatch them all at some point.
Like if you really go back and rewatch them, they're beautifully done. Even the third one. Even though I was just like, meh, okay. But that's why I want to go back and read the books, because usually they say the books are usually better than when they're adapted into films. So
yeah, everyone says that.
that's what everyone says. But I haven't read the Godfather book, Rachel. I don't know if you have. So
I have, yeah.
Okay, so that's why I really want to go back and read it to see. I'm like, okay, because all I knew at first was the film, like you said. Like I didn't even know there was probably a couple months ago. That's when I realized, oh, it's based off a book. So yes, I am down for that, Rachel.
Absolutely, and yeah, we'll have a talk about the book and as well, because it's I have to see if I can find my copy somewhere, but
Okay. And in terms of watching, still pretty much on the same couple of things. I haven't had a ton of time, but still trying to get through season 2 of Raised by Wolves, which is that HBO Max, I think Ridley Scott sci-fi show. It's still super weird. It kind of had a slow first episode, but it's definitely getting much more interesting with the whole dynamics between like atheists and religion, and they're like, there's an atheist group, there's a religious group, and like they've been at war for centuries over their ideologies, and like they've literally destroyed a planet in the process of fighting each other. So it's still super interesting. Apparently it got canceled though for its 3rd season, and apparently the creators are trying to shop it around to get picked up somewhere else. So I hope that happens, because I'd be really upset to get to the end of season 2 and it's like some giant cliffhanger like season 1 was, and then it just never gets resolved. Like that'll be real ass in my opinion. And I'm watching a lot of Criminal Minds because my fiance has been binging that show for weeks now. And like I'll come sit and like watch like maybe a full episode with her here and there, or like I'll just in passing like on my way to the kitchen like sit there and watch like 10 minutes or so. Like that show is very, very hokey, but like it does draw you in. Like it's not as engaging as like all the CSIs, like, because those shows are straight up traps. CSI, you watch like 2 to 3 minutes of a CSI show. I'm sorry, not CSI, Law and Order, I meant to say. You watch like 2 to 3 minutes of Law and Order, you have to watch the rest of the episode. Like, it won't let you leave.
If there's a marathon, it's mandated that you sit on the
Yeah,
couch
you
and
get
watch the whole
trapped.
thing.
You get trapped. So Criminal Minds has a little bit of that going on, but like I'm able to like snap out of it and be like, oh, okay, I got something else to do, and leave. So it's like Law and Order light, we'll say. But that's pretty much it for me. We can jump right into our topics, and the first one is a big one. Bayonetta 3 has a release date, October 3rd,
28th.
October 28th. Okay.
Yeah, don't speed it up for me like that. Don't give me hope.
It's like, no, as close to
October
Halloween as
28th.
possible.
You know what? That actually tracks. That's good marketing on their part. So yeah, we got this big trailer. We saw some new characters pop up. I think saw like some new powers and abilities from Bayonetta. Ash and Rachel are huge Bayonetta fans, so I don't know. Do you guys want to jump into this first, or you do want to let Kat kind of get some words in about her impression? I don't know. Are you big on Bayonetta at all, Kat?
So Rachel will probably be very, very excited to hear this. I've never played it before, but I really liked that trailer, so I really want to get into it. So I know that's
I'm
the third
streaming
one.
it, Kat. I'm just saying.
So I've never played them before. So since that's the third one, I want to start with the first one and then kind of just lead. I don't want to just jump into the third one because I'm sure there's some backstories and things that spilled over from the first and second one. So the trailer looked really, really cool. So I think I'm gonna start out the first one and go from there, and then I'll have to message Rachel and let her know how I'm doing and how it's going.
Nice.
That's all I have.
approve.
Yes, I will
yeah,
be
so
your
this-
Bayonetta Sherpa. Yes, this is all I've ever wanted in life.
So I
Life
guess it makes
achievement
sense
unlocked.
that if it makes sense if Kat has not played any of them, because I've only played the first one. I started the second one and kind of immediately bounced off of it. And I love the character. Like, I really love the first game. I don't know why the second game was like giving me like, it was just kind of boring me in that early section. So I don't know if maybe it has a slow start, but I do intend to give it another shot because I do want to try 3. So I'm curious, Rachel, Ash, what are you guys' thoughts on this trailer?
Just a little curious about why it seems to have a slow start, because I'm not going to go into detail because I don't want to spoil it for Kat. But I've always thought Bayonetta 2's at least the very beginning was not slow in terms of what you're.
I guess like the opening is not slow at all. Yeah,
but you mean like
there's
the
a lot
city?
happening there. Yeah, as soon as you get into like the game, because that's kind of like a set piece. I feel like once you get into the game, I felt like it wasn't pulling me along enough.
Interesting. I haven't heard that, Chris, but that's one of those times I just tune out whenever someone tells me something they don't like about Bayonetta. But it's like, yes, I know I'm biased. I know, I admit it. Get off my back about it. But yeah, I guess I can kind of I can see that. I can see that being a problem with the game, because as much as I like Bayonetta, I mean, Bayonetta the original is my favorite game, but I will admit that the second is more of like a Bayonetta 2.0 than it is Bayonetta 2. So I think what I'm hoping for from Bayonetta 3 is that it's like even more of an evolution of the gameplay, and it seems to be, because they've got a lot of new tricks that they're pulling out in the trailers.
Yep.
Ash, you wanna? I
didn't know if you wanted to just keep going. I mean, this.
I'm giving you space to. I mean, we're both in the same boat here.
Yeah, go ahead. Interject.
So I think I was here on your podcast when they like first did the teaser trailer about it, I think, or at least when they did the first actual trailer, because I remember talking about what I thought about the person who may or may not actually be Bayonetta from the original trailer, because I remember I was talking about how I was like, this looks more like Cereza, who's obviously is Bayonetta, but like hairstyle looks like the same little girl Bayonetta from the first game. She doesn't act exactly like our Bayonetta that we played as from that first trailer anyway. And I was like, this just feels like it's a different universe's Bayonetta, or that multiverse Bayonetta who was like the little girl that we protected in the first one, basically. Just based off of those things. So I was like, is that our Bayonetta? Is that way they show like Bayonetta dying in the original teaser trailer? Like, we're not playing as her. per se.
Yeah,
We're playing
like
as a
ton of
different
conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I was
all that
like,
stuff.
what is going on? What is this? What is this? But no, I honestly, the first thing I just want to say is I'm upset that the release date is October 28th, 2022, because I was already like, oh man, I really need to buy another Switch because my son stole mine, and it's no longer mine. Well, I have time. I don't have any reason to rush to get a Switch. And then someone at my job brought in their Steam Deck. I'm like, ooh, Steam Deck's kind of cool. I kind of want a Steam Deck. And you can get Switch games on there after a video I saw. So I was like, I'll just get a Steam Deck and do both. I don't have to buy two separate
don't
handheld
implicate
systems.
yourself on
No,
this podcast.
you can do it with the actual cartridge. You can use the actual Switch cartridge to get your games on there. So it's 100%
Really?
legal. Yes. But
Okay, all right.
but now it's like, if I reserve a Steam Deck, I probably won't get one until next year. So it's like, but I need Bayonetta
Yeah, that's how
ASAP.
that's been going.
So I guess I'm getting an OLED now. As soon as
Are those
possible.
available?
I don't
Are you
know.
still able to get OLEDs?
I don't know. I haven't looked yet. I'm sad, but I'm extremely excited. I was gonna go into what you said for number 2 a little bit. I think because I kind of felt semi-similar in the beginning of 2. Like I wasn't as gripped as early on as I was with 1, and I do think that part of the mystery in 1, like not knowing who Bayonetta was, her not knowing who she was, who the little girl was, that was really gripping for me in the first one. I didn't get really into the story until a little bit further in for 2. I'm not sure where you stopped exactly, but
Yeah,
I think
I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember anything in terms of story for Bayonetta. And I loved, I played through 1 several times, and I don't usually do that with a game. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I tend to do that with these sort of Devil May Cry-esque games because I played the crap out of DMC. I played through that 3-4 times. So I played Bayonetta a couple times as well. But it was really never for the story. I know events. I could not tell you why she was doing anything she was doing, honestly. So it's really funny to hear me talk about all this conspiracy stuff. Like, oh, this information is like, oh, there's 2 Bayonetta. I'm like, really? Okay.
Like at first I would have just thought, oh, she just changed her hair again, because I mean that's what happened in 2. She changed her hairstyle.
Yeah, she's a lady.
But by the third one, I was like, that just seems very similar to Cereza from the first game, and she also looks, at least to me, maybe it's also just a hairstyle, but she seemed younger in those trailers than like quote unquote our Bayonetta. So that's why I felt like showed Bayonetta dying in the first teaser. I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, I'm very excited to actually see if I'm right or not, and just to be in the Bayonetta universe again and with a new storyline. So, and I don't know if I care about playing as Viola or not, because I
wanted to ask you guys because there's a new playable character.
Yeah, it is weird that we're sort of like Bayonetta's like companion characters are sort of like, again, I'm trying to be a little cagey because I don't want to spoil too much for Kat. But we're kind of like, so like Bayonetta's companions is like, okay, we've got very small little girl, slightly like teenager little boy, and now we've got someone who's like, looks like maybe like a 19-year-old girl, but I bet you anything Bayonetta's still going to call her little one.
Of course.
That's what she does. But I don't know.
If she doesn't, it's definitely Cereza. If she doesn't say little one, it's not Bayonetta.
Well, I'm kind of curious to know a little bit more about this character because, I mean, Bayonetta, as we know her, has always sort of like amalgamated a lot of different like folklore traditions about witches and sort of like incorporated them into like modern urban fantasy, which I've always appreciated about the character. So I'm kind of curious if we're going like in more of like a cyberpunk witchy direction with this other character. Which I thought was, it's like, I know everyone's calling her Virgil, but I'm a little bit more interested because all we know about her is that she's a trainee witch, basically. But she's got this like really cool, like sort of like cyberware aesthetic to her. I mean, and that's not even getting into the fact that I've heard a bunch of, like, speaking of theories, that this is actually a crossover with Astral Chain. I don't know how true that is, but I'm kind of, that's the one of the more out there ones I've seen, but that one seems kind of interesting to me.
Okay, I mean, Astral Chain, that game dealt with like some sort of demon thing, right? Or was it like a cyber? Was it like some kind of computer virus? I don't remember.
Something like that. But I know they said the enemies this time are called homunculi.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I actually see that kind of stuff I'm a fan of. Like I like that weird heaven, hell, and then like earth caught in between fantasy setting. And the fact that like yeah, Bayonetta is a witch and she's kind of representative of hell, but she was fighting angels that have like all these very scary looking demonic looking creatures, even though they're supposed to be angels. And now now it's the earth's turn to kind of show you what they've got in terms of like crazy creatures and
Actually,
their capability.
I mean, they're actually more in line with like the really old school depiction of angels, because angels like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
proper Old Testament angels are scary as
Very
heck. I mean,
scary
like
looking.
the wheel enemy in the original Bayonetta. That's almost taken, the description of that was taken almost verbatim from an Old Testament description of an angel. So that's what I like, is like this is like
No, yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
when people see well, and also I like that in Bayonetta 2 when they introduce demons, the demons actually look more mechanical than anything. Like they have a lot of
Yeah, so like that's what Earthlings would have access to, right? Is like
Yeah.
tech and like biotech and stuff like that. So like I'm excited to see like what those new enemy designs and stuff look like when they're in that theme, and how that mixes as like, because it's essentially a third faction now in like whatever the game's lore has been dealing with.
I did see a little bit of resemblance. Like if y'all remember at the beginning of Devil May Cry 5, there's like a bit where the army people, or like anyway, like regular humans with guns are trying to take out the demons, and of course Nero has to step in and handle it himself, because regular humans are not equipped for that. And basically at the beginning of the Bayonetta 3 trailer, we get the same thing. We get humans with guns trying to take out what is probably a homunculus. And of course, that's what's weird about it, because ordinarily regular humans cannot see or interact with angels. So that was the big clue that something was weird there. But we see them trying and failing to take out a homunculus themselves. And then, of course, Bayonetta, again, she has to be the one to step in and say, oh, no, don't worry. I may be fashionably late, which is a big, like, that's, Bayonetta is never unfashionable, please.
Lampy's comment in the chat says there were going to be a lot of demons in Bayonetta 3, but due to chip shortages, there's only 5 of them.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Well, on that note of like technology, right? I still feel like the Switch is kind of hamstringing the potential of what this sequel could be. Because in all honesty, I don't see much of a visual difference between this and like the last 2 games. And I know they've since probably like remastered and re-released the first and second one. So like maybe they don't look as bad as I remember. But like this new one doesn't look like that big of a jump. Especially for the Switch. Like the Switch has had some impressive looking games because folks have figured out how to make that platform work in their favor. Like I'm thinking specifically of Monster Hunter Rise. Because Capcom's RE engine is doing straight up voodoo on the Switch. I don't know why that game looks as good as it does. But like in comparison, like Bayonetta 3 looks very old. Like it could straight up be a 360 game in my eyes. And I mean, maybe you guys don't care about that sort of thing, but I feel like that's kind of off-putting to folks who are like maybe like, oh, this is a new Switch game, but it doesn't look that new. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, I would always like it to look a little better. I don't mind. I'm definitely able to look past it. Like when I'm watching that trailer, I was so excited. I didn't care anything about visual fidelity, graphical resolution. Like I was like, yes. So, but you know, you know I've been, Casey. My dream is to only play games on my PC. That's my dream. I don't want to keep buying other consoles, and I don't want to keep getting different online subscriptions. I like to play games with multiplayer on the internet. I mean, when I say online subscriptions, I just want to be like, give me my Game Pass, give me my PlayStation, whatever it's called, because I forget already, and just let me play all the new games on my PC, and I will not care anymore, and I can just live my life right here at this. That's what I want to do. But yeah, you know, it would be nice. It'd be nice, but I'm very okay with how it looks. I didn't even think about it till you brought it up, and I'm like, yeah, it does look very similar, but I got past it.
I can see where you're coming from. I think part of it is that visually this is not really a game that is, I mean, this is a very stylized game. So I think part of it is that because it's so stylized, the game's design, the game's art styles can look very similar to each other, which, I mean, that's not the same as graphics, like the graphics not improving as well. But so I think it can also, I think part of it is that there's just a lot of visual like continuity between the three games as well. And that sort of also, but I do see what you're saying about this, the Switch sort of keeping it down a little bit, like you having to cater to a handheld, not necessarily a full-blown console or a PC.
Right. And my main worry is, I mean, maybe it looks that dated because they needed, the scope and like all the particles and whatever whatever set pieces they have in mind and wanted to fit into that game couldn't unless they had the fidelity that low. So it makes me wonder, like, does it run well? Because like the Switch is known, like, luckily this is only being made for the Switch, but on the rare occasions where like, it's a cross-platform title, the Switch usually can't even handle. And this is even on in terms of indie games, like an indie game that's on Steam, on Switch, on Xbox, or whatever. The Switch tends to be the one that has stuttering issues, loading issues, stuff like that. So I'm wondering. I don't know. I just feel like this game could have been better or closer to what the original vision is, and the Switch is kind of in the way. And I feel like I'm talking trash about the Switch, but honestly, it is a very underpowered console with terrible controllers and a bad online infrastructure. So, like, I love Nintendo, but I do have beef with this console.
Dang, this turned into a Switch roast. God.
Kinda, yeah. I don't know. I just feel like I'm a little worried for Bayonetta because it's stuck on the Switch.
So,
but it seems like nobody else has any concerns about that.
I mean, you always get that Steam Deck and get your games on there. Like I said, Casey, I'll send you the video.
I mean, for this hack that you're talking about, does it run Switch games better because it's on a Steam Deck and not a Switch? Or is it like emulating a Switch?
So based off of like them showing everything, the main like quote unquote issue is just that it has to load the shaders initially. But after it does that, then you're basically good. So like when you first go into a new area in the game, it'll load faster. You'll get in there faster. The shaders will take a second to load for the textures and everything, and then you'll be fine. So it's like, it just has to, because it is technically emulating a Switch. The games are yours that you still put on there yourself, but actual emulation of the Switch is what's being done. So it has to load the shaders real quick. But after that, then the game runs really well.
And you're saying that's legal?
Yep.
Okay.
You own the game and you use it. You got it straight from a cartridge. You even download it from online anywhere. So that's 100%. You're good to go.
All right. Just to point out, a couple folks in the chat are pushing back. They're saying like they don't care about graphics at all. It's always gameplay, number one for them. Lampy making the point that a good stylized game can look better than just pushing realistic graphics that look bad in a year's time. Like, I agree with that.
Well, I don't necessarily think it's about realism, because I mean, I'm going to defend you a bit here, Casey, as well. Well, I mean, defend your opinion, because I do agree that the Switch is an underpowered console, and contemplating just for a minute what it would look like, say, Bayonetta on the Series X, for example. When I think that, I don't necessarily think, Bayonetta would be more realistic, or would have like you would be able to see the pores in her face or something like that. It would be more like, I can picture like these huge like city vistas with like big angel and demon fights and all that, which is something that's probably not really going to be very easy to do on the Switch. Something that's, again, haven't played the game yet, so don't want to judge prematurely. But I think you are right that there is a limit to what you can do on the Switch, and I think Bayonetta would probably like hit that limit easily.
Right. Yeah. Like, just based on the past, like the kind of set pieces they go for, like it's really outlandish stuff, really impressive stuff. I just feel like, I wonder what we could have gotten if the Switch wasn't the platform it has to be on. That's all I'm saying.
I want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to throw in one more conspiracy theory too, and it's about Viola.
All right, this is your last one.
Last one. Yeah. So like her summon is a Cheshire cat, like the one that Cereza had in the first game. I just want to point that out. A little awkward that she summons a whole Cheshire cat stuffed animal. I'm just saying, there's too many connections that's going on here with this little girl from the first game, and that's what bothers me a lot. I need to understand. I heard some people. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, first of all, I'm just trying to like, because I feel like Kat's over here trying to like avoid spoilers where
You
possible.
should.
But
Sorry.
we should just like type something. We should just like have Kat mute us, and then we'll type something in the chat when we're done talking Bayonetta, and just so we don't spoil this for her. But I mean, the whole thing in the first game was that like Baby Bay had
Baby Bay.
a cat that she named Cheshire. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility. There is actually a cat-ish demon called Cheshire that
That's true.
that she named her toy after. So that's
Mm.
I think that's more likely to be what's going on here, is that she just basically Viola contracted with the same demon that Bayonetta named her cat after. So
See that?
I don't think it's necessarily like, I mean, I'm totally down for theory crafting. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying that one is probably can have a more mundane explanation.
That's fair. I'll give that one.
Okay.
And also, it's funny that you said Virgil. I heard some people comparing Viola to what's his name, Nero from
Nero,
DMC.
yes, yeah.
They were comparing her to him too, which was funny because of who Nero is. So one of the other rumors, Cat, close your ears, for like 5 seconds. Don't worry, it's not gonna be long. Is that
The thing is, half of the stuff doesn't make sense, even when you spoil it. Like, it just doesn't.
listen? That's okay. Another one of
So
the other.
I think it's fine.
One of the rumors I heard for people who thought the same thing with the Cheshire Cat thing, they were like, "Is there any way that that Viola is like Lucas?" And I was like, that seems unlikely, but if it was, that'd be hilarious. I would love to see that, like another universes where they actually were together and that is their child. I was like, that'd be hilarious too. If the multi-universe thing, if that's what they're really going for, since that did get very popular in the last few years. But yeah, I'm excited. That's it. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, is there anything left to say? Like, do you guys still have Bayonetta 3 thoughts?
Oh, we have lots of them, but you know.
Right. I mean, well, for this conversation in particular, I guess.
I'm just gonna
Game
say
looked
that
good.
even though the release date falls on the exact same day as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, I'm
Ooh, it
Mm.
does.
I'm honestly betting Bayonetta on this one. God, oh my God, fall is like packed right now. We've got
Wait,
Bayonetta.
you're betting Bayonetta in terms of what, like sales or?
I mean, maybe not sales, but I'm saying that I don't think she's going to be completely eaten by Call of Duty like a lot of other games would be. I'm saying that, like,
Yeah, they are pretty different. Yeah,
they
so I
are.
feel like
Yeah, if there were any game that could be released on the same day as a Call of Duty game and still come out all right, I think it's definitely Bayonetta. Because,
yeah,
like
like
you said,
something on Nintendo and something like Bayonetta for sure.
yeah, they're such different audiences and such different. I'm not going to come here and say that Call of Duty is not going to sell well. We all know it is, but
we can't stop it. We try.
there's
No.
nothing we can do about Call of Duty
Well,
at this point.
I'm not trying. I'm buying it, so I'm part of the problem.
See?
I'm
But
part
we
of the
got so
problem.
much coming out. We've got. I mean, I'm honestly just I'm just happy because not only am I getting Bayonetta 3, I'm getting Slime Rancher 2, and I'm just gonna be in like this happy glow all for the entire fall season.
I don't have time for this. Dang it. I don't have time for these games. I'm not gonna finish
gotta
Room
pick one,
Factory.
Ash.
I'm not even gonna finish Room Factory 5 by then. Like,
You need to get paid to play games like Casey and I do.
Yeah, and then you'll have to play games you don't want to play.
Exactly.
Instead of the ones you want to play.
Ain't no perfect way to do this.
But okay, we'll wrap up the Bayonetta 3 stuff. Kat, you can unplug your ears now if she's been muted. We're
I'm
gonna
here.
go ahead and
I'm
move.
present.
Okay.
Go ahead and move on to more Nintendo news. They just acquired a studio. The name of that studio is, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read like right now. Dynamo Pictures, a Japanese animation house. I looked at their website to kind of see some of the stuff that they've done. They've I'm not sure because the site is in Japanese, so I apologize. But like, there's a lot of pictures and stuff of projects that they've worked on, which are pretty popular, pretty big. But like, they seem to be like a helper studio. Like they haven't released anything on their own that I'm aware of, aside from like smaller projects. But they did work on that first Studio Ghibli 3D CG movie, Maya and the Witch, which folks were not happy about. Like, I did watch that movie. It's not great. Like, it feels unfinished, honestly. Like, the movie's fine. It's just at the end of it, it's like, all right, this seems kind of like the first quarter of a movie. Like, where's the rest of this plot? They also worked on what looks like some like MMO stuff, but they worked on standalone complex Second Gig, which is the Ghost in the Shell show that's on Netflix, which I actually like a lot. But my main criticism about that show is its animation. Like, I think the CGI kind of looks a little cheap in it. Like, they get action done right, like that all looks great, but just the character models and the world and stuff looks kind of on the cheap side. So it's odd that Nintendo, who's already working with a very big studio, Illumination, for their Mario movie, has acquired one of their own. So I'm curious what you guys think maybe is Nintendo's plan here, because they have a ton of IP. They've tried to make adaptations in the past, and they're very guarded with their stuff. Like, they've canceled project after project that has been in the works. Like, Metroid has been supposed to be a movie for a long time. There's a Legend of Zelda animated thing that's supposed to come out that they canceled. A Star Fox thing that they canceled. So what are you guys' thoughts on them actually going this far in terms of buying a studio that they now own wholly?
I mean, could it be that, there's video game adaptations coming? There are video game adaptations coming out now that people actually like. So maybe they're seeing maybe they're trying to jump on a positive trend that's happening.
They're trend following Nintendo.
I'm not saying they're trend following. I'm just saying they're seeing that video game film adaptations are coming out and people are actually responding positively to them, as opposed to like basically any time before, like, say 2015 or so. I would say any like video game movie made before then, everyone was like, ugh, don't like it. But
Pretty
now
much, yeah.
people are throwing like huge amounts of money at, even just things like, I know The Witcher is not strictly a video game property, but like The Witcher, Castlevania, The Last of Us series, Detective Pikachu. There's just a lot
that
of
one's theirs. Yeah, well, sort of theirs.
Yeah, sort of. But they have a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there that people are responding positively to. It's getting good reviews. It's going in. Things are going in a better direction, and so I wouldn't blame Nintendo if they saw that and said, yes, now is the time to deploy the adaptations.
Yeah, I will say it does seem like good timing.
And I think, and this is just me, I think if there's any company that's set up better content-wise, I think it would be Nintendo. I think Star Fox would be a really good, animated adaptation of a video game, or Zelda, or other things that Nintendo has. PlayStation and Xbox, or things that are cross, platform. Okay, but the actual like Nintendo content or stuff that's owned by Nintendo, I think they're set up better than anyone to actually have really good adaptations and animation for films. So go ahead, Rachel. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I just had a thought. Finish what you're saying first.
So as far as them acquiring, like you said, Sigma, that company that really hasn't really done anything on their own, and they've kind of been helper in a helper animation studio. Maybe they just need the right partnership with someone. Being under Nintendo, it could be where they just let them say, okay, take off, and we see what you do. See, here, we're giving you this, like you said, have plenty of IP. Like, we're giving you this, show us what you can do, kind of thing. So maybe Nintendo was the right company to purchase them or absorb them, and then we're really going to see what maybe Dynamo Pictures is capable of.
Okay.
But I digress. Go ahead, Rachel.
Well, I was just gonna say, I just had a thought, of thinking of Nintendo properties, like, oh, give me a Fire Emblem series. Like, not a movie.
Yes.
No, I need a Fire Emblem series. Everyone's been trying to recreate the Game of Thrones success, since that show officially ended with season 7. I believe it ended with season 7, but not that last season. We don't talk about that one. I actually don't remember how many seasons it has, so I'm just spitballing here.
No, I think you're right. I think 8 was the last one.
Yeah, but anyway, just saying, people have been trying to recreate the success of like a fantasy, of a successful fantasy show with stakes. I'm just saying, Fire Emblem is, that fits that mold perfectly, and it could potentially also be made pretty family friendly. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. I want a Fire Emblem, either live action or animated show. I don't care.
No, that is actually a great idea. I would watch the crap out of the Fire Emblem series. But the thing is, like this is an animation studio, so like it, and honestly, I'm really excited about that aspect because it seems like Nintendo, they're not shopping for live action. Like that's what Hollywood wants, right? Like they don't understand how to make a movie that isn't cast the most famous people you can think of so that people fill the seats. Like Nintendo's like, our properties work as characters, like they're cartoon characters. They work in animation and graphics and whatnot. They bought an animation house to start making some of this stuff. If every Nintendo IP that comes out has some level of animation, like the Star Fox thing was planned to be like not claymation, but like puppets. Not puppets seems like the wrong word, but you know what I mean, like kind of like
Fantastic
Animatronics?
Mr. Fox.
yes, yeah, like kind of like stop motion-y.
Yeah.
Yes, stop motion is the word I was looking for. So like that's a different kind of animation, but like that I feel like that would have worked really well. But like that's what Nintendo has in their brains in terms of like, oh, this is how we adapt our stuff. And I think that's a great idea. So like, yeah, the idea that Dynamo has been kind of a satellite studio for a bunch, and maybe Nintendo saw something in them that's like, oh, well, you can help us create these ideas that we already have. So like it feels more so their own, like they just bought the whole studio in order to make that happen. Like that actually sounds very encouraging to me.
Just real quick, Lampy said in the chat they could have bought the studio for animation in-game. Possibly, but they did say when they bought the company that they'll focus on development of visual content utilizing Nintendo IP, which, I mean, I feel like if they were just buying them acquiring the studio in order to have them do stuff in-game, they would have just said that.
Right, yeah, like they do spell out that this is for transmedia situations, so like TV and movies and whatnot. How about you, Lampy? I'm sorry, I said Lampy.
I was like, "Where's Lampy?"
Lampy, you're
Why
here.
did I call
But
Ash Lampy?
listen, I hope Lampy hates that with his ban Ash emotes. I hope he. You feeling that, Lampy? You feeling that? Sorry.
I'm the Lampy now.
I'm the Lampy now. But no, I'm actually like super. Let me not say that. I am super hopeful because all I've wanted, and it doesn't have to be like per se, because like you said, they canceled previously the Legend of Zelda anime that they were going to do, or TV series, which I really wanted that. Fire Emblem also sounds amazing to me too. But I am really hopeful that after now acquiring and now calling this Nintendo Pictures or whatever it said in the article that it was supposed to be called now. But I really want them to give me my anime adaptation of the manga series for Legend of Zelda. Only because I can play through Legend of Zelda. And I'll love it. But I can't watch Legend of Zelda if it's a silent protagonist the whole time. Through the whole
Did Link
TV
talk
series.
in the manga?
Yes, he does talk in the manga.
Okay.
It's
I
just-
mean, I feel like that's an easy fix.
It
Like,
is, but
just
like,
give him a quality voice actor, no one will care.
but if they
At
do
that
it like based off of the games, right? Like it'll feel weird to me if I'm watching the exact story from the games playing out exactly like the game would, and Link says things that I wasn't actually because that's the whole point. So you can like put yourself into Link as you're playing the game. He wanted you to be able to like, this is me going around saving Hyrule or whatever.
But they were always kind of ambiguous about the fact that Link could, like, characters wouldn't say, "Oh, you're pretty silent" or something like, right? They would comment on it.
It would always seem like he was actually
It would seem like
responding.
they would hear him say something to them. It's just you, the player.
Except
would
Breath of the
never hear a
Wild,
voice.
he had an oath of silence in Breath of the Wild, so he
Oh,
actually
so they did explain in that one.
Yeah, in that one he had an oath of silence. He wasn't talking purposefully, so which also would make it weird
But
if
he
they
could, though.
he could. When is he? Okay, now Lampy, Lampy, don't do this to me. There was a whole part where they were like, why Link was not talking in Breath of the Wild. Don't do this to me. We're the same person today, okay? You can't do this to me. But no, seriously, I really, it's just because I feel like if they were gonna make it anime, right, like stereotypical what I expect to see when I watch an anime that's like action adventure, that type of thing, or or shonen, I guess, in that genre. Um, the manga really hits those story beats when it's going through the already established story for the different games. Because there's a Ocarina of Time, a Majora's Mask manga, blah 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 through
So
multiple of the games.
so a lot. I'm assuming it's not all of them, but like, is it like the NES through N64 games? Is it like how many of these mangas exist, and each one is a specific game story, or are they like unique stories?
Okay, so they follow the overall story, right? Like the different dungeons that are there and everything, but it's kind of told differently. Uh, I want to say like, all right, look, there's Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Oracle Season Ages, Four Swords, Minish Cap, Link to the Past, Phantom Hourglass, Twilight Princess.
And are these mangas are like standalone, like the games are, and where it's like, oh, hey, here's the story of this scenario?
Yes.
Or do they kind of okay?
Minus Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask because same link.
Because
But-
yeah, they're kind of in the same. So like, honestly, I didn't realize that there was already sort of like quote unquote screenplay for like the games written out like in manga form. Like most anime exists as manga to begin with, and they just adapt that. Like there's a case to be made that they could just start adapting. Because is this licensed stuff too? Like this is like the
So, to my understanding, it is licensed.
they got their script already.
and it's like they came out quick. Like the first one that they published was the Ocarina of Time one. That was the first one that they actually did, and that came out a year after Ocarina of Time, the game did. So like they made that manga quickly, obviously, because like you said, they have the story laid out. The game's already there, so they just have to make it in the style of when you would expect to see when you read a manga.
Right.
But yeah, and I also really like Link's character in the manga, especially Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. Obviously, that's the first one I read. Because the people always go to Wind Waker for the expressive Link in the game, but here it's like I can really see Link being expressed, almost like that one fan thing I showed you one time where the guy like animated it or whatever. So like getting expressive Link, but in all the games I've been playing throughout my entire life, not just Wind Waker and like maybe Skyward Sword or Breath of the Wild. Just really getting like his thoughts, him reacting, him being an actual child because he is an actual child in Ocarina of Time, not just the silent, courageous boy who's going on a crazy adventure. Like, no, he's he's courageous, but like courageous of overcoming fear, courageous, not just like, yeah, all right, I'm out.
Right.
Let's go do it. Whatever. So it's a good time.
Like finally making Link a multi-dimensional character through a project like this is exciting. Like I'm also excited to kind of see that brought to life. Yeah. If they do it well.
Yeah. So that's it.
So like that's still kind of out there. But I mean, any other thoughts on this news? Like, are you guys like generally excited or more weary about these animation designs?
I have no idea.
I mean, all we know is that they acquired a studio. We don't know anything else right now, so it's a little difficult. I can't really be wary about something until we get more details. And then I'll be like, ugh. Like if they tell me, yes, we're making a live action Legend of Zelda where Link will be voiced by Chris Pratt, then I'll be a little bit more upset. But until then,
here's my conspiracy theory. Right. I think Nintendo knows how this Mario movie is coming along. And they went, this was a mistake. We know that this can work because there's proof out in the world that this can work. We'll do it ourselves.
Ooh.
So they went to get this studio after seeing that they signed a deal with Illumination, who I've been telling you for a long time is a crappy animation. Like their animations are fine. They write crap stories for their animated movies. So this Mario movie, I think, was dead on arrival as soon as I heard Illumination was a studio behind it. And so I think Nintendo was like, yeah, this ain't going to work. But it's going to happen anyway. Like we can't stop it at this point. But for the future, we're going to have way more control than we've ever had in this realm. And so they went and bought a studio to do that. That's my conspiracy theory. I think that Mario movie is going to be trash.
I trust your opinion and your prediction. Say no. Usually when he says stuff like this, I've noticed, like when I'm like, you know what? he's right. So I trust it. I trust it. So
Thank you, Kat.
I need
This is why you're on the show.
I need Superman Jeff in here to humble Casey again. That's literally always like, Casey, you don't even know. You don't even know.
some people might see him as him being a hater, but I really just think he's extremely like blunt. So I was like, you know what? I agree, but I'm gonna give it a shot. But I'm gonna go in it kind of with that in the back of my head. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't like name. I don't go down this rabbit hole. Actually,
Rescue Rangers
continue to trash
Chippendale
on
was
Illumination.
good. Chippendale was good, and you said it was going to be bad. That was a good movie. I enjoyed it.
I never said that. I said I was excited about that movie.
No, what? Let me go find.
We can find.
Yeah, we're going.
I was there when we watched the trailer. Yeah, Casey
Yeah,
was
like
excited
me,
about
Rachel, Jesse.
Who was it that
Were
was
you on that show,
excited?
Ash?
Yeah, I think I was there. Who was?
Yeah, Jesse was not excited. Jesse
Oh,
was
it
like,
was
he didn't.
Jesse.
Yeah,
Jesse was
I
wrong.
watched it.
I'll never
I
trust
love
his
that
opinion.
movie.
To be fair, at this, I was also kind of like, with that. So that could have been me as well.
But yeah, I like Chippendale. I thought that actually was pretty good. But all right, we'll move off of the Nintendo stuff and move on to more animation. This time, kind of the opposite, like animated stuff. Well, not the opposite because these were games before, but animated stuff. Anime, to be more particular. Yu Yu Hakusho, classic anime. Probably considered one of the best anime like ever made. Honestly. Is getting a live action adaptation coming to Netflix, as pretty much all of your childhood favorites are going to do at some point. It seems like they did Cowboy Bebop, which was not bad. I liked that show, but the greater majority, I guess, didn't, and not enough people watched it, and Netflix canned it after one season. One Piece is still in the works. We've seen the cast, we've seen like set photos. It doesn't look terrible so far, but the actual show's still up in the air. We haven't seen any of that, but they've already said Yu Yu Hakusho is coming. They've also announced that they're gonna redo Death Note. They're gonna do another Death Note, which I'm kind of like, you know what? Go for it, because that first one was trash.
Oh my god!
Clearly, you guys know it.
Oh
So they want this anime thing to work. They're gonna try it again. I'm fine with that because Death Note's a great series. So give as many shots as you need to get that to work in live action if you really want it to. But this Yu Yu Hakusho show, what do you guys? Opinions on how this can be based on that Netflix's track record, based on like how fervent they seem to be about trying to make this stuff work. Like, are you still apprehensive, or is there a little bit of excitement possible?
May I go? I'm sorry.
Go right ahead. I know
Yu Yu Hakusho is, and everyone, I know DJ and everyone in the chat from the open party knows that is my favorite anime of all time. I've watched the anime I don't know how many times. I have it on Blu-ray, I have it on my external hard drive, I have it on my Apple TV. I've read the manga front to back to front a million times. I have all the pops for them.
she had it ready to go.
I have all the pops. Yes, I love it.
That was a
I have
big
no
spoiler.
issue. I have no
Character
issue.
show.
I have no issue with, I guess, it being made into a live action. I have an issue with Netflix doing it because time and time
fair.
again, they have shown us that they're not capable of taking that content and actually. I understand adaptation means it's not all, obviously it's an adaptation of something. It's not going to be exactly like it. I get it. I understand. But their track record is just horrible. Like, I refuse to watch Cowboy Bebop, even though I heard it was good. I heard it was decent.
So out of principle, you refuse.
I refuse to watch out of principle. Like, I just will not do it. Death Note was horrible.
Yeah, that was really
trash.
Bad. That was really bad.
So I think they already released who's going to be playing Kurama in the live action Yu Yu Hakusho.
Mhm.
He was also,
I saw a picture for Yusuke, I think.
He
too.
did.
Really?
So, I haven't seen all the other ones, but I mean, this is a golden opportunity though to have Blake Griffin play Kuwabara. I don't know if y'all seen a side by side of Blake Griffin and Kuwabara. They look
No, yeah, for
my
years.
God.
No, for years, folks have been like, "Yo, Blake Griffin should play Kuwabara," because
Have you ever seen
God.
that side by side of them, like down to the hairline? It's insane.
he does
I
look
don't even
like
need
him.
to see it. I can
Uncanny.
visualize it. That's crazy.
It's uncanny how he looks just like Kuwabara. Anyways, no, but I guess I'm just extremely. I mean, I know it's exciting, and this is a great way for people who. I know some people that have never watched anime and they watched the live action Cowboy Bebop and they go, "Oh, this is cool," so they dug more into like the anime, the actual anime. So I think it's really great.
Yeah, my future brother-in-law literally was like, "Oh yeah, I watched the Netflix show, and so I really liked it. I went and watched the other thing because it was also on Netflix."
Yeah, so like I think it's
and then he got into the
Mhm.
anime proper after that.
Yeah, so I think it's a really great way to, for people that have been watching anime for years and years, I think it's really awesome for people it to be like a non-inclusive kind of thing, like everyone's getting into it, and I think that's really awesome. But it's just I don't trust Netflix with it. I just don't. They've proven time and time again that they just don't know how to present that content to us in a live action. So
Well, there's some wiggle room on that regard, I guess, because this particular adaptation, like Netflix is licensing it and they're going to put it out, but it is a Japanese production house that's apparently going to be shooting it.
okay.
But the thing is, it's the same production house that did the live action Full Metal Alchemist movie, which also did show on Netflix. I don't know if you watched that when it came to Netflix.
What did you think about
But,
that one?
Was it?
I thought it was fine.
Mm.
Because, like, a lot of people consider Full Metal Alchemist to be the best anime ever made, period. Like, it routinely is sitting on top of, like, greatest anime ever lists, right? Its adaptation just doesn't do justice to the story in that show. But what they do get right is the look of all the characters. And, like, I feel like that's the first impression that a lot of folks take and go, like, all right, well, I'll watch the show then, because this looks how I want it to look.
Mm-hmm.
So at the very least, you might get a bunch of folks who actually tune in, unlike the Cowboy Bebop thing, where like folks were mad from the gate because they're like, "Oh, John Cho's too old. Why is Jet black?" Like, nonsense like that, and then protested
He is though.
and didn't watch it.
Like Piccolo.
So I'll just
we already know. We know this is okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. You're fine. It's just I feel like there's a difference in perception based on like how it's going into it, and that could help regardless of the quality after the fact. So I don't know, but yeah, I didn't think that Full Metal Alchemist movie was like great. So like this could go either way, honestly.
And then part of me is just kind of like, why? Like, why do we have to have live actions of these goated anime series? Like, but why? Obviously, at the end of the day, we all know it's money. Revenue, money, blah 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 blah. I get it, but why? Like
these franchises,
yeah, like just
because you love it. You love Yu Yu Hakusho.
You
it's your
love
favorite
it.
anime ever.
I will buy.
So
yeah,
they're selling to you.
Well, I'm not gonna buy it. I mean, I will buy any. I have so much Yu Yu Hakusho merch. It's ridiculous. Like I will buy.
So they have your money.
I know they have it, but I just feel like like I said. But then again, like I said, maybe this is as far as like the popularity of it. Maybe someone will see the live action and be like, I like it. Let me go check out the anime. Or someone sees this live action was trash. Let me go check out the anime. Like so, I guess either way you look at it, I guess it's beneficial.
Yeah, I mean,
guess.
yeah, they're continuing the franchise in different mediums, and that just keeps it relevant over time, right? Eventually, we'll probably get like a full-on anime remake of Yu Yu Hakusho because it's getting up there in age. So like they'll probably just redo it in like more modern times as well. And like this just keeps it alive in the meantime. I feel like. I mean, whether it's good or
But I
bad,
feel like
I kind of don't.
Well,
mind.
yeah, but like you said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
Like you said, like this is considered one of the greatest animes of all time, mangas of all time. Like, does it need a live action to stay relevant? And I don't believe it does.
Okay.
I mean, you know how I feel about Dragon Ball Z, but after that one Dragon Ball Z live action, they haven't touched it, and that is still one of the most relevant animes of all time. Which that was horrendous, by the way. That was a horrendous live action film. But like Dragon Ball Z,
man.
we don't need a live action Dragon Ball Z for it to stay relevant. Regardless of how I personally like it or not, that's one of the most influential animes and mangas of all time. And it doesn't need a live action to stay that way. So I feel the same way about Sailor Moon. How we like
But how
I pray to God, oh God, Netflix, do not touch Sailor Moon. I'm looking at you right now. Do not.
You know they're coming for it.
No,
Like you can't
do not
stop
touch. Do not touch that anime manga. Don't do it. I'm looking at you, Netflix.
I'm gonna have nightmares now about that.
I'm gonna message Rachel on Discord. Oh my God, I just woke up, but I had the most horrible nightmare. No, but I guess that's how I feel about it. I think I guess maybe I'm just being a little snooty when it comes to it because it's something that I really do enjoy. And at the end of the day, if I don't want to watch it, I just don't have to watch it. If that's the case.
I just
Yeah, but Oh no, go ahead, Rachel.
I was just gonna say, I mean, this is not. I mean, I'm coming at this not necessarily as like the world's most discerning anime fan, obviously, but has the live action anime adaptation, has that ever truly worked for Netflix? It feels like they keep every time. It's what's the definition of insanity? I'm just saying. Like they just do it. They're trying this over and over with different properties, and I'm skeptical of the idea. Their promise every time seems to be no. This time it's going to be a great live action anime adaptation because insert like whatever like minor difference there is between this and the last anime adaptation. Like this time, no, it's a Japanese production house this time, and I'm like, yeah, but Netflix, you're still involved, which means, so, I mean,
no, that is a really good point. It's like why do they keep pushing this? Like my best guess to answer that is anime proper has actually been very profitable for Netflix. Like the fact that they've licensed a bunch of stuff from overseas to be on Netflix has retained a ton of viewership, and the stuff that they go kind of halvesies on and like, oh, this is a Netflix original anime, like a lot of that stuff has been super popular. Like Seven Deadly Sins comes to mind, which I personally hated after like season 2. Like I think the show dropped off a cliff, but some folks were still really into it, and that was over here seen as a Netflix original series, but it was like a really big, like it had a crossover with Stranger Things. Like it's popular. So I think on that aspect, Netflix is like, all right, this stuff works. So now they just need to bring in the other half or the other 60% of their audience or something like that who will never watch something animated. Like there's a great majority of the viewership who just will only watch live action stuff. And that's why everything that's either a cartoon or a game or a movie or whatever needs to get like a movie with real actors, because that's the only thing some people watch. So like if this anime is pulling these sort of numbers, imagine what it can do if there are real people involved. Like I feel like that's where their mind is going. So as long as anime in its original form is doing well, they're gonna keep trying to get a breakthrough, because they only need the one to kind of open the floodgates for I guess people to follow that formula. That's my theory anyway.
I don't know. I basically avoided most of the live action Netflix stuff because of the Death Note one. That was like the first.
That one.
I don't remember what it was, but I started watching. I didn't finish it. I got to a certain point of it where I think it was like right after he first meets L or something. Like it's like his first encounter with L in that, and shortly after that something happens. I'm like, I know, again, like you said earlier, Kat, it's an adaptation. It's not going to be exactly, but I just watched it like the way this story was already set up was done perfectly. This is not one that I feel like you can just do an adaptation of, because there's so much intricacy in Death Note that if you start changing it and it's not done perfectly, I'm going to be like, what is this? This isn't even the same feeling of Death Note.
I kind of disagree, because I feel like the concept of Death Note, like the story of the anime and the manga originally is amazing. Like the characters, all that stuff is great, right? But I feel like the concept by itself is strong enough to tell more stories or slightly different stories. Like just the idea of a really powerful, really socially not socially obsessed, but like he thinks very highly of himself. I can't remember what the word is. Like a kid like that getting this sort of mystical power. Like I feel like you could tell a bunch of stories with that as a concept. And the fact that they were like, all right, well, we'll transplant this premise to, the US. Like these characters will be based on those characters, but they'll have different names. There was potential there to tell a really interesting, slightly different story. And they just botched it. Like they chose the dumbest plot you could possibly have and made the characters super annoying.
Right. They weren't acting like Light wasn't acting like Light for me. And I think that was part of it.
Honestly, I didn't expect him to, but I at least wanted a character who had access to that Death Note, who was competent.
Right.
Like, they went the complete opposite direction. It was like, this is just like kind of a loser, emo, like edgelord kid. Like that's what they turned him into. It's like, that's who you thought that this should like it was just a really bad story that they told.
And
But like the concept is still strong.
And I agree. And I feel like if there was any adaptation that could have
Narcissistic.
been,
Thank you, Honey Money. Sorry,
Yeah,
she found the word for me.
I feel like if there was any anime that would have been easy to, go from animation to a live adaptation, it would have been Death Note because of the
Yeah.
content and because of the storyline. Like, okay, like I agree with what you're saying, Sigma, about how it's such a powerful story that they can branch off and do different stories. But for that first season, I feel like they should have just stuck with what was there, like the actual storyline that's in Death Note, and then from there go off to these different, stories and theories and all these other things. But they dropped the ball, like you said, dead on arrival, dead DOA. Like, it was just atrocious.
And honestly, they, because I agree they could do other story. That part, I just felt like if you're gonna go with the story with Light and L, diverging from that path that hard is what like was so jarring. So I wasn't even able to finish it for me. I would have rather because like they ended on a cliffhanger kind of with what was her name, Mia. I forget her name at this point. The girl.
Yeah, they changed. I think it was Mia. They changed it from whatever it was in the original.
So because in the original Misa, thank you. At the end of the original, if I remember correctly, there was like, after all the events are done, everything's said and done, and I don't want to spoil, I guess.
I will say one thing though. William Dafoe was perfect. He was the
he was perfect.
He was perfect. Like,
very perfect.
He did his job.
He did his job.
He never disappoints, but like he was just perfect for that role.
But it was the ending for Death Note with Misa right at the end where it seemed like there was more to tell, and I was like, I felt like they could have just kept going towards, or not Misa. It was like a cult or whatever. There was a cult that formed around Light and everything that he was doing, and someone, if I remember, they had like a Death Note at the end of it. I want to remember this, but it's hard.
You're talking about the movie still, or
no, the manga? The manga.
Okay, yeah.
At the very end,
they didn't do any of that in the movie.
No. At the end of the manga, there was like almost a clear, as if there was expecting that there was more to come in that like universe. There was more story to tell. I think
there is. There is some more story.
And I'm like, they couldn't just do that instead. Like, instead, for me, as soon as they put Light and L there, I was expecting to see two powerhouses and them their minds going against each other, and that's not what I got. So I cut it off immediately when I saw that wasn't happening.
Fair enough. So this will be like our final topic on this before we move on to the last topic of the show. But Koenig A asks a really interesting question. Why do you think anime/manga doesn't lend itself to live action where comic books do? Does anyone have any theories as to why it seems like, because they've sort of cracked the code for comic book stuff nowadays. Like, we have tons and tons of superhero media and graphic novel adaptations and whatnot. But yeah, live action anime still is kind of hitting this wall. Like, what's the difference, if there is any?
For me, I don't think live action can ever capture. So like if I'm reading a manga, right? Obviously those are stills. My imagination fills in between the stills of how, like, what powers or whatever the case may be of that manga is. Like if I go with the shonen genre, it fills in the blanks. When I see an anime, and I'm excited to see how they actually animate those moments that I imagined when I read it. When I watch a live, and at least so far from these live, they never look anywhere near what I imagine. And I don't know if it's just because they don't know how to make them look good so far with live action. Our text there, I feel like, I don't see why not. We watch the superhero movies and they look good. I don't know, maybe they just don't have the same budget to make it look as good. I don't know. But that's for me. It just doesn't look how I imagined when I read the manga, or it doesn't look how I was excited for when they animated it. So I'm just like, it just doesn't look good to me when it comes to like effects and stuff. I remember with the Bleach live action one, literally the creator of Bleach was like, I'm worried on how Ichigo's going to look live action with that orange hair. Because like as an anime character, it looks normal. I'm watching, I'm like, yeah, it looks fine. But even the creator himself is like, how's he going to look with that exact orange tints of hair as a human being?
And to be
walking
fair,
on
that first Bleach movie, I thought was actually fine.
Yeah, that actually was okay.
Yeah,
and
like
the orange hair looked
wasn't that
okay.
bad.
Like,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's for me mostly.
Yeah, go ahead, Rachel.
I have a theory. So the thing is, I think when Western media tries to adapt a Japanese animated show. They're adapting the anime. They're not trying to adapt the manga. And there's a difference between trying to adapt. I mean, you're trying to adapt, something that is a whole show. And I think trying to adapt an animated show into either a live action show or movie, that is not as easy or as simple as adapting a comic book to a movie. Because, I mean, I don't think anime / manga and comic books are synonymous, because let's just take the MCU as an example. They're not adapting an animated show into the MCU. They're adapting a series of about 70 years worth of loosely connected comic book storylines into a homogenous movie universe. But if they were I think it would be an entirely different beast if they were adapting like 20 or 30 years worth of animated shows into live action movies. I think the transition would be much more difficult if that's what they were doing. So, and that's the thing with when you try to adapt anime, you're not adapting the simple like panel visual book medium. I don't think I've ever heard of a Western adaptation where they take directly from the manga. They're always taking from the anime. So I think it's a very different transition between the two. And also I agree with Ash that a lot of it is in the fact that when you have an anime, you already have a set look to everything. There's already a way that people know these characters, they know what they sound like, they know what they look like in motion, and that just doesn't. And they're looking for that when they make a live action, when they see a live action version, that's what they're looking for. And I think it just doesn't. That makes it harder to translate from between the two mediums. So that's my theory anyway.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I have another theory as well. And I think it's partially due to honestly a lack of respect for the medium. Like, whereas comic books, and again, it's that kind of West and East sort of thing. Like, comic books are prolific in the West, like the superhero thing. So there are a lot of people who are probably now in different parts of the industry higher up who've grown up with that sort of stuff, who are more familiar with that sort of stuff, and have what's relevance? Like they like it. they respect it.
It matters
right?
to them personally.
Yeah. So like when you get pitched this project, they're like, all right, well, I'll put someone who knows what they're doing on this, or like, oh, this doesn't look right to me, like the higher up, or they'll give someone who does care about all that stuff as much creative freedom as they want, because they're not worried about something not translating well, because to them they can see the same picture. And I feel like anime, as more of a foreign thing to the West, you get maybe someone on the bottom who are someone who's directly associated with, who's maybe super passionate, but then higher ups who are like, all right, well, that won't translate to a bigger audience, or like, this needs to change because I don't get it. Like, I don't understand like why this is about high school kids, make it about adults or something like that, right? So like, just these little things that, because someone isn't super used to it, they're like, all right, well, we need this to make more sense for a Western audience. And then you lose a lot of why the thing is important in the first place, or why it's special in the first place. And I think over time, as anime becomes more and more prolific and more folks are fans, and it becomes more mainstream, that we will start to see better adaptations. And I think we've seen a couple so far. Like they're few and far between, but like, I think the Astro Boy movie is like criminally underrated. Like that live action, well, that's not even live action, I'm sorry, that was animated.
Oh, Astro Boy?
That was Astro Boy. I thought that was actually a really good
Astro
movie.
Boy was good.
I think that Battle Angel Alita movie is like a CG slash live action thing, or is that all CG?
I think it's slash, right?
Yeah, I think so. But like, yeah, and I'm not sure that had an anime, so that might have been what you were saying, Rachel, where they literally adapted the manga into a movie, and that apparently have seemed to work because people did like that.
They need a
Honey
sequel.
Money did not. Honey Money said, "Hate Alita."
Oh, I really liked it, but I didn't read the source material.
It was all right. It was entertaining.
All right, so guys, give me 1 second, but I'm going to introduce the next topic. BMW is releasing its first car with microtransactions. I just need to check the door real fast. So give me 1 second, and you guys can talk amongst yourselves. I'll join the conversation in a little bit. All right.
Okay.
I don't know. I think
let's kill the show.
microtransactions.
This
I
is ridiculous. I'm sorry. This is insane, in my opinion. I don't know if y'all read the article, but I guess someone was like test driving it, or they have the car, and he was driving at night, and so he put on his high beams, and it basically said that he cannot use his high beams because he did not pay for that feature in the car.
well,
Um,
yeah, I think microtransaction is like the wrong video game term to use here. Basically, what you're talking about is day one DLC. It's like basically we have a whole ass game here, but we're not going to give you all of it until you pay more money for it.
like I just think I can understand, for example, there's like features on a car, heated cup holders, heated cup holders that how, like, now cars have like the lights that around the car that you can change, like the color of the lights, where it's like the RGB lights inside the car,
Mhm.
stuff like that. I can understand having someone pay extra for that, but my question is why is that going to decrease the the ticket price, like, on the car, or is the price of the car still going to stay the same? But I kind of feel like stuff like high beams and things that are, I guess, safety essential in a car. Like, you're telling me that I have to pay $19 a month so I can use my high beams, or pay a one-time fee of $550, something that is a safety part of the car. Like, I just think that's just insane to me that you're
Yeah,
charging people for something that should automatically come on a car for safety reasons.
right.
I It's funny because at first I was very upset when I heard this. A coworker of mine at work, because he's an actual car guy, and I brought it up to him just to see what he had to say. And he actually told me that this isn't the first time where it's kind of been similar, where it's like features were already installed in the car. You have to actually go to the store, like the dealership, to get those features like turned on, basically. Um,
Mhm.
and I think he even said BMW's done it before. I don't remember if he said it was BMW specifically. I'm trying to remember the combo, but for me, it's the at first I was upset because I was like, yeah, like subscription for features. I like cars already, you have packages or trims as is already.
Yeah. Right.
But
Yeah.
at least in my mind, I always thought you had to get the higher trim to get that thing. Like it just wasn't in the car to begin with. But to my understanding, based off of my coworker said, he's like, that's not always the case. Sometimes that feature is there. You just have to go to the dealership. That's why you don't have to buy a whole new car to upgrade your trim almost. You can just upgrade those individual features anyway. Sometimes those are already built in. Sometimes it's something that needs to be added. And I was like, I never knew that. Um, but my thing is like, what about the things that are like features that you don't need all the time? So you can maybe quote unquote save costs if it's like, I don't need heated seats in the summer. What if I only paid for heated seats during the winter? I don't know how that like ends up total cost wise because I've never compared costs. But you know what I mean? Like sometimes a
No.
subscription
Yeah.
does
Okay.
save you money. If you can just cancel whenever you want, you're just like, I don't need this right now. I'll just cancel and get it back when I need it. If trying to buy it
That
outright
was
is
an
really
interesting
just
point.
crazy, especially also a lot of people get new cars. I'm not one of them, but a lot of people get new cars like every 6 7 years or sooner even. So they'll be like, I just trade that one in and keep not spending that price for heated seats every time I get a new car. I just only get it during the winter for like 4 months or so, 3 or 4 months. And I'm like, I mean, I'm not actually too upset when you explain it to me like that. But it just depends on the feature and like where that goes in.
Right.
And yeah, like be like where it's used, it reduces the sticker prices. Like it all depends on how it all comes together end game for me. But it still seems ridiculous up front. But I feel like a lot of things always feel ridiculous when it's new. You know what I mean? Like whenever it's like, hey, we're gonna start charging this way for something. As soon as we change the price model for things, like why? What's wrong with how we
So
already did it?
is it confirmed that with this price model, like all these sort of extra features, that the base model is cheaper? Like, cause like you were saying, like you can already buy different, like the same car in different trims, and like yeah, that would say like whether or not you had automatic seats or automatic windows back in the day and whatnot. Like that wasn't something that like that was a different thing in the car, like that you either rolled it up or you pressed the button, right? So like
Right.
now if it's like if they charge you, for example, this isn't what they're one of the things they're charging you for, but if they charge you for the ability to automatically roll your window up, Like, does that mean that when you buy the car without that price, you have the functionality in the car, but they let you walk out of the dealership without paying for it? Like, do they remove that from the cost of when you buy, or like, are you still actually buying a car that has all those features, but you have to pay additionally to unlock them? Like, that's what I'm kind of confused about.
Right. From my understanding, and I think Lampy said is like it should be reducing the sticker price because also manufacturing is cheaper because they're only making one model of the
Yeah, I was
car.
thinking that too. Yeah, like there's only one version of the car, and they don't have to make three. So that, yeah, that's inherently cheaper, and maybe they can reduce the price of each car because of that.
And I think for me, I guess where I'm like kind of stuck on this is just utterly ridiculous in my opinion is
I mean,
because like I just think that there's certain things that should not be options. They're essential to the functionality of a car and safety reasons. Like the article that you sent, Sigma, about the high beams, like that's ridiculous to me. That's like an automatic, that should be something that's already in the car, whether it's one model. Like you said, the heated seats, that's a really great point, Ash. Like the heated seats, I don't use them in the summer. I'll pay 3 months to use them in the fall and the winter. But like, for example,
I will say this high beam thing says high beam assist. Like, I don't know if it's the same thing as high beams period, but I also don't know what high beam assistant is.
I think that's just when it automatically detects like, oh, we should have on the high beams right now versus just like,
Oh,
I think.
Yeah, that's what it is.
okay, so it's like automatic. The car will automatically turn on high beams rather than you doing it manually.
Right.
Okay, so
But you do still have high beams. So
yeah, and that's when I first read it, I was like, wait a second, like I was like, this is ridiculous because if I have to pay $18 a month just to use my high beams, I was like, okay. Or the example that you used, I'm sure obviously they're probably thinking about this, Sigma, like, okay, even though they're not doing it now, what if down the road they said, you know what, we're gonna put the microtransaction for having automatic windows. So if that's gonna be an added feature, are y'all gonna give me the little device inside the car so I can automatically or manually roll down my windows if I don't want to pay for the automatic window feature? Obviously, like you said, that's not something they're doing now, but at the rate it's going or how it's looking, it wouldn't surprise me if that became a thing. So I just think it's crazy how, just like you said, one model, it's cheaper for the manufacturer, like Lampy said. I can completely understand that. So I'm actually really interested in this. When I saw it, I was like, oh heck no, like what? Like,
yeah,
this is
yes,
ridiculous.
at first glance, this does sound crazy. Like it just sounds like straight
it really
up
does.
BS. But this might actually make more sense in a weird way.
Yeah.
I love that the other Frost in chat just wrote airbag is pay to win.
But you know, like how back in the day, like everyone would just get cable, but then eventually people, when they're like, why don't you just pay for the channels that you want instead of having to pay for an entire package that costs more money and you only watch like 5 channels? That's kind of, that's how I started thinking about it. I was like, you know, if as long as cost-wise, this makes sense. As long as they can make it an easy to understand model and cost-wise is actually effective for the consumer, I don't see a loss. And obviously, all businesses want subscriptions now from people, especially when you forget to cancel paying for your heated seats because you don't need it outside of the winter. So they just get to keep collecting $18. So you just say, oh, it's not worth me going online to cancel that or whatever the process is. I'll just leave it. Who cares? But that's me.
But going back to what you said, Ash, like I didn't even realize. Oh, I'm sorry, Rachel. Were you gonna say something?
No, you go ahead. I'll jump in afterwards.
So like what you said, going back to how you didn't even know, and that was, I learned something new today as well about how most cars they already have those features. It's just you have to go back into the dealership and ask them, hey, I want to pay for this feature. So like looking at it, hearing everyone's like, views and opinions about it, that does make sense. Like let's say I buy a Mini Cooper hatchback and I buy the base model, but then I'm like, you know what? I think I do want those RGB lights on the inside, and I do want heated seats. I can either go back to the Mini dealership and say, hey, I want to pay the lifetime fee of $500 so I can have the heated seats, or I'm going to do my subscription and do $18 a month. So when I hear everyone talking about it and then seeing it, that does make a lot of sense. Like, okay, I guess I can eventually, it's a base model for everyone, but if you want to add stuff, you have to come back or contact whoever it may be to get that stuff actually working in your vehicle.
Yeah, go ahead, Rachel.
I just was thinking, I'm still not 100% sold on the usefulness of this, but something that potentially could make me think better of this is I wonder if keeping these features off by default, not making them like let's just use steering wheel heating, for example, because that's another feature that is available via subscription. What cold ass places are y'all driving, by the way?
I'm sorry, we don't all live in Texas.
I know.
like it legit.
All I keep
gets
thinking
cold
is like,
enough where
oh my god,
you
I
can't
will
hold the steering
actually
wheel.
broil in my car. But anyway, just I wonder if like that not being on all the time, and only being available to turn on like say for 2-3 months out of the year, I wonder if that would actually extend the life of the car's battery or any other parts of the car.
Oh. Yeah, like if
That's
it's
something.
doing less stuff.
Yeah, that's
like
something that
it's
could make me a
less
believer.
wear and tear.
Yeah, it's like if I want,
Yeah,
if I
that's an interesting point.
yeah, if I lived in a place that required heated seats, heated steering wheel, but only for a certain time, obviously I wouldn't want that to necessarily be a, if it's something that I would really want for my car, but if I got my, a car with that feature on all the time, it would really wear down the car's battery, then that would be something that I would definitely not get. But if I could only activate it for like 2 to 3 months, then, and it wouldn't cause undue strain on any of the other car's parts, then yeah, that's something I could definitely see being a good feature.
Okay.
I guess.
Well, here's.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think
No,
another.
I was going to change the subject a little bit, so go ahead.
Another thing I think where I'm a little hesitant about the whole subscriptions or things like that is someone having so much access to the car that I'm driving. Like, I don't know if I'm making any sense here, but it's like
the remote control
like
of
someone,
features.
yeah,
and stuff,
like
right?
someone has control to some extent over something that I purchased. So it's like, even though I might be paying for heated seats in my car, they have the ability to stop the heated seats in my car. If they have the ability to stop the heated seats in my car or the high beam assist, what other things can they have access to stop in my car? I know that might seem a little like paranoid, but I think it's a legitimate question as well. Like, that's just like, if I buy a car and I purchase the car, I don't feel like I want someone to remote into my car and be able to sabotage my car to some extent.
Remote into my car.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
no, that is a concern. And Lampy's bringing up the point that Kat don't know how to tell you this, but they already do in certain aspects. Like software does also have some sort of like ways to be controlled by the dealership, I suppose. But like your point actually was going into the next one I was gonna make, because the other Frost made the joke, someone will be jailbreaking their Prius.
Heck yeah.
And honestly, what does this now kind of call into question the whole idea of ownership of your vehicle? Because yeah, you buy the car, that's supposed to be your property. Why couldn't you pay somebody to just hack your car's systems and give you access to all that stuff? Like maybe for like one flat fee, like you pay this mechanic here $500, and you have all these features that would have been like maybe $2,000 altogether. Like, is that illegal? Is that possible?
I have a thought for that actually, because I was wondering. So if you're paying a subscription fee, right, and that means you have to at least check in with a server at some point to verify that you are on that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, is this going to be like a video, since we're using microtransactions and DLC already, a bunch of gaming terms, like a DRM situation where basically it's like eventually you have to connect to the internet to verify that you are the owner of this stuff so that it will continue to work. So it might not be like every day or like an always on connection, like with the whole Xbox thing from before and everybody got mad, like you have to always be on the internet. But like eventually, if you don't, you'll pop up in a warning, hey, if your machine doesn't connect to the server to verify within like a month or so, it's going to shut down all the extra features type of situation. I'm wondering if that's what?
No, I'm sorry. I was gonna say folks in the chat are chiming in about the question I just asked. So I think they're answering our questions right now. Lampy says you own the car, but you do not own the software in your car. It's been that way for years. You're licensing the software. Koenig A says it is software, so it's as illegal as cracking Microsoft Office or Windows. I wonder if it's as illegal. They might consider this way more illegal.
Yeah,
because you're driving on public roadways with cracked software that is in violation of whatever. Like maybe
which could be potentially harmful.
Could pull you over. Right. Yeah, it might be something the cop could pull you over and like arrest you for. I would think.
Well, I'm with the other Frost that you could jailbreak it. If you jailbreak it, it's the same as jailbreak an iPhone. You basically just void your contract with the company that providing the software or the car or a service for the car for that matter.
Right. You go to a dealership and it's cracked. They're like, no. Sorry, Kat, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I'll have to put it in the in the Twitch chat. There was a gentleman on Twitter. He had like this huge thread, and it went like viral. He owns a BMW, and it was one of the ones now that like it's basically all software. And he had a software malfunction in his car, and he got into a car accident. So when he took it to the BMW dealer, they wouldn't fix it. It was still under warranty. He had just bought the car. I have to find the Twitter thread, but the car basically malfunctioned on him. He got into a car accident. So when he took it back to the BMW dealer, they wouldn't touch it. So it's crazy. Like an unforeseen accident happened. It was completely out of his control. It was the software that they put into the car. So therefore they should be held responsible, and they wouldn't touch the car.
That is interesting.
Yes, I'll have to find the Twitter thread and put it in in your Twitch chat so people can see it. But it was insane.
Yeah, because I say like I get it if you like jailbroke your car, that they'll be like no, because you jeopardized the already set in stone safety measure. Now, if you didn't touch it and they still deny you, that I definitely don't understand. That doesn't make sense to me at all. But I could definitely see like. And imagine court cases, right? Where it's like, people will definitely try to see, like in the case of if you did nothing and they'd reject you, I could definitely see suing the company because like, why I did nothing, this should be covered unless there's something legally written down that prevents me from still getting service, or helping me with the situation. But it's like, immediately the first they'll do in court, they're like, oh yeah, so we got to check your system in your car. We got to bring it to the dealer. We got to check it, make sure you haven't. And then you see it's jailbroken, just throw out the whole case. Like you tampered with even if it could be like, oh no, this has worked for so many people and it hasn't hindered that. They're like, you jailbroke the system. We haven't tested to see if it still works with the changes you made. So we feel like you broke it. It's on you for tampering with what we set in stone. So I don't know that. It seems like it'll be a lot to get used to, and I'm still with you, Brader's like. I'm not fully opposed as I was when I first read this, but I'm still wary of everything. Like I want to see how it works out. Eventually, somebody was going to have to do it anyway. I feel like so. Let's see what.
Yeah, like based on everything folks in chat were saying, the way the world is going, like this was an inevitability. In all honesty, but at the very least, because honestly, microtransactions in video games, like folks hate them, but like there are instances where like it's fine, like it's healthy because there are people who are getting what they want out of the deal, and the devs are getting what they need, which is like money to continue making the game. So like there are good versions of microtransactions in video games. So that the fact that it can be applied outside of that world to everyday life isn't surprising. The only hope is like hopefully it's not a situation where they are actually screwing you over because the car now costs twice as much. Like it's just the most expensive version of the car, and like they're just double downing on nickel and diming you. Right. Hopefully this does actually save you money in a way. And honestly, it would save everyone money because if the manufacturer's saving money and then they actually bring the price down, then you as a consumer get to save money. So like that's good for everyone. But
how does resale value work?
Necessarily be trusted to do that? Yeah. How? Well, I guess.
Because like usually you have in the highest trim, but unless you get a lifetime one, and how does that work too? Can you transfer your lifetime license to another car? I guess.
Yeah, you would have to transfer. I don't know.
You would have to transfer a lifetime access. It'd be easy, like because it's like you register your new product. You go online, you register your new product, and it's like okay, would you like to transfer your license? You transfer it because you sold the other car, and now it's up to whoever buys it if they want to get something like with just serial numbers, whatever, MAC addresses, I guess. I don't know what they're going to use for this type of situation.
Yeah, who knows?
What's the IP address of your car?
I'm going to need you to type .config into your dashboard. But okay, any other lingering thoughts on the car microtransaction situation before we close up shop?
Bayonetta 3. Yay, that's all I got.
Yeah, maybe you can play Bayonetta 3 in your car after you hack it.
Yes! Woo! That's it.
So happy ending for all. So that's going to do it for the Sigma Show. Thanks everybody in chat for watching once again. It's been a great conversation. Thank you, Ash. Where can folks find you if they want to see your content on the internet?
Oh, well, if you guys want to watch more of It's Above Me, right? Ash Redux. You can find me at Ash Redux, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch. Those places I do things sometimes.
I feel like you kind of ran out of steam at the end there, but
did.
it's all right. It's all good. Rachel Kaiser, where can folks find you?
Well, you can find me on my written work at GamesBeat and on my personal blog, and you can find all that. It's all via my Twitter, which is at Rachel Kaiser. And I'm also Grace of Athena on Twitch. I'm getting back into streaming because I actually started streaming Bayonetta because I want to I just want to be with Bayonetta again. It's just as simple as that. So yeah, I'm getting back into streaming, and I also have my personal posts, such about, speaking of Law and Order, we've got Perry Mason, and I'm also and Stay Golden Sunday is on a little bit of a hiatus while I do some other stuff, but I've also got some more written works on the incoming, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, it all goes through my Twitter, so if you want to see anything I do, it's on at Rachel Kaiser at Twitter.
Yes, please follow Rachel. She's an excellent writer.
Thank you.
Yokina Cat, where can folks find you? What are you going to be doing the rest of the week?
They can find me on Twitter. That's probably where I've been most active, and I think it's below me. So at Yukina Cat,
Yes.
my handle is the same across all platforms. So Twitch, Instagram, Discord as well. It's just all the same. So you can find me mostly on Twitter, Instagram, and on the Open Party Discord. That's where I'm at all the time. So I really don't have much going on. Unfortunately, I hate to say this and I have to admit it, but my PC is essentially obsolete. I had it, I had to have it take a look.
Really?
Yeah. So it was purely cosmetic, the new tower that I got, but I had taken.
Yeah, because those are some nice pictures of that tower.
Thank you.
Guys, if you're in the Discord, look up in our
Thank
gear
you.
section.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
It looks dope.
Thank you. So, for streaming purposes, like using like OBS or Streamlabs or other stuff, it's fine. But I'm kind of with Ash. I really want to just turn over to just playing primarily on my PC. I played Apex Legends on my brother's gaming PC for the first time, and I was like in heaven. It was like the difference between that and playing on PlayStation was insane. But so my brother took a look at it, and he's like, basically, yeah, like probably within like the next 6 months, it's gonna be pretty much. So, yeah, so I'm kind of taking a break from streaming right now because I tried to stream Fall Guys the other day through PS4 Remote Play, and it was just horrible. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to lay this little baby to rest. And coincidentally or not, my tower is only like $60 on Amazon, so I didn't really pay that much for it. So, you'll probably just catch me either when I stream with the Open Party or when I'm just retweeting on Twitter. So sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, make sure you're following Kat. She'll be back for sure. I know she will. She'll be back in the public eye as soon as she can. As for me, you can find me at SigmaGears9 on Twitch and Twitter. I'll be back on the Open Party channel later today for Super Smash Sunday with Superman Jeff. There's a chance we might start a little late because I actually have to run out of the house real fast and run an errand before I come back. So depending on traffic, I might get back here a little late, but the show will continue on the Open Party channel later, so don't worry if we're a little late. Outside of that, yes, so George Luke, I see you in the chat. Metal Gear streams and stuff will return next 2 Thursdays from now. Like, I still have one more week of like training stuff over at Ubisoft, and then I'll start doing streams with the Escapists again. I believe right now Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. So that's much later than before. So I hope both of you guys are still going to be around for those streams. But like, we'll continue doing Hidden Gems. Breakout will be in the evening now, and the Metal Gear streams will continue with Metal Gear Solid 3 because we just finished 2. Again, in that late day hour. And I'll probably be back for like game nights here and there as well. But yeah, other than that, thanks everybody once again for hanging out. We really appreciate it. Lampy, don't forget to license the GPS for your car. You'll get there quicker. Really appreciate everyone coming through. It's a fun conversation as always. We'll be back next week unless we're not for some, I don't know, like something might happen. But otherwise, we'll be back next week. We'll see you then. Peace.
See ya.